Um, Before I begin, I'd like to thank all of you for coming here today and giving us the time to listen to our little entrepreneurial experiences and journeys. The reason why it means so much to me is because I genuinely believe that the one thing people can give one another today is time. And so thank you for your time and attention today. I am so pleased and honored that Kibsons is such a well-respected brand in the UAE community, and that we are so overwhelmed to be part of the healthy eating journey of so many families in the UAE. So my plan is to talk a little bit about Kibsons and how it began, and then we can talk a little bit about change. So Kibsons has been in the industry for nearly 40 years. Over the last 4 decades, our team has been traveling across continents and focusing on developing relationships with farmers and pack houses across the planet, making sure that they get fair returns for their harvests year after year. And so slowly we evolved into becoming a major wholesaler and distributor in the fresh fruits and vegetable market in the UAE. And what that means is that we are the major wholesalers in the market, but we also distribute to the chain of supermarkets and hypermarkets within this industry. But during the last few years, the industry model here has begun to change. On one hand, the hypermarkets and supermarkets are becoming bigger, which means that they have more bargaining power. And on the other hand, the competition within the retail space has become so fierce that I think it puts a lot of pressure on wholesalers like Kibsons when it comes to prices. So the distribution department within the Kibsons umbrella gradually moved from a position of low margins to break-even, and then from break-even to consistent negative numbers. And it is at that stage within Kibsons that we started having these heated debates and discussions as to what do we do next? I mean, how do we get out of this situation, which I called the washing machine cycle, where we needed those big volumes to have consistency or to survive, but we couldn't really afford those negative relationships anymore. I'm going to stop here and talk a little bit about change. Okay? You see, there are many people in this world who actually don't like change. They are very happy and comfortable in the way they live their lives, and frankly, I think that's perfectly okay. There's nothing wrong with that. But then there are so many people out there who are chasing growth and knowledge and dealing with these uncomfortable situations and challenging moments. These are the people who tell themselves, it's okay to be uncomfortable, it's okay to feel completely lost, not know how to figure things out, how do you get out of these tricky moments, or what's even going to happen next. And I think that there is no great story that has ever come out of a situation where people are totally comfortable. Lost my thought, sorry. My fitness trainer always tells me, Halima, a comfort zone is a great place, but nothing really ever grows there. And I think change is not just always figuring things out, it's about believing. It's about knowing that even though you don't have things figured out, you have that faith that you will figure things out. And I think it's about trusting and believing your core strengths, your ability to constantly develop your areas of expertise, and your capability to allow others to sort of leverage and benefit from those abilities. And back in Kibsons, those dark moments had begun. In fact, the general manager of the distribution department somehow felt that these problems and issues related to his commercial abilities and his leadership. And even though I tried to tell him that really it was the system and it was the nature of the contracts that we had in place, not him. But unfortunately, one day, he simply resigned on me and told me that if you think you can run the department any better, why don't you just show everyone how? Now, being a woman in a completely male-dominated industry is hard. But being a woman with limited commercial capabilities was even harder. My background is finance and operations, nothing to do with sales and contracts. So the question is, where do I even begin? If I walked away from the distribution department contracts, about 50 merchandisers would have lost their jobs. Now, many of those merchandisers that you may have seen in supermarkets restocking shelves are actually on the payroll contracts of wholesalers like Kibsons, not of the supermarket. So if I made a decision to walk away, then 50 of those merchandisers who I had hired myself and who had been with Kibsons for so many years would have instantly lost their jobs. And more importantly, many of them were Bengalis. So they couldn't even get another visa in the UAE very quickly. I'm not sure how many of you are aware, but the UAE government does not issue new visas to Bengalis. You can renew visas, but not really get new ones. So the real question was, how do I empower change in such an organization at this turning point? And more importantly, what was I supposed to do as a leader? Honestly, I really don't know, but what I remember is that I told my team, one, change is okay, and we shouldn't really be scared of it. Two, we are going to figure this out as a team. Three, doing bad business cannot be better than doing no business. Four, when we are down, the only way is up. And five, we really need to focus and find our core strengths and which defines who we really are. So I went back to our core and I tried to understand what our strengths really were. And this is what I found. Kibsons is a family-run business, and our core value proposition was, one, we were very well reputed and respected in the international agriculture industry across the continents that the team had been working on for so many years. Two, we had the expert knowledge within the industry like no one else. Three, we had a cold chain infrastructure that I thought was unparalleled or unrivaled within the industry. And four, if you think about it, we were practically the first point of contact when it comes to quality and cost for all the fresh produce that was imported in the country. Now, externally, we had the opportunity to spread this value proposition with so many families in the UAE who actually understood and appreciated the value of nutrition, either because they were families who were dedicated to elite sports or because these were just health-conscious moms who wanted to feed their kids healthy. So we had an internal strength that would match an external need, and all I did was simply connect the two. And that's how change began. So all I wanted to do was save 50 merchandiser jobs and connect them to maybe, 50 or 100 families in the country who would appreciate that fresh produce at amazing prices. And believe it or not, we literally started with Excel spreadsheets. And today we have embraced the larger community of so many health-conscious households in the UAE. I think love and passion separate Kibsons from all our competitors in the industry. And I think it is our team's undying desire to make a difference, both internally and externally, that has set this revolutionary change within the industry. Thank you.